Well, let's head to the movies now, and a warning to our viewers, our next segment may get a little spooky. The Wolfman is a modern monster tale of a family attacked in the dead of night by an unseen animal, terrifying them and ultimately causing one to turn into the unthinkable, the Wolfman.
Hey. Ginger? Ginger, are you okay? Look at me. Look at me. So, are you hurt? Are you hurt? Are you okay? Hey, we gotta get out of this thing. Hey, no. Don't move.
Ooh, scary stuff. We are now joined by the brilliant director and also writer, Leigh Whannell. Leigh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I say writer, of course, because you very famously wrote the first Saw movie and a few of the subsequent movies.
Insidious. What else have we got? The Invisible Man.
Yes.
Upgrade. There's a few now. I'm racking them up.
I love The Invisible Man. Fantastic movie.
Thank
Upgrade
you.
as well. So now you're sort of moving into, with Wolfman and also with The Invisible Man, moving into sort of this almost like horror nostalgia, I feel. Is that a deliberate choice?
Maybe I'm just getting older. I'm starting to I guess the last two films I've made are based on these monsters that have a long history. So you are sort of talking to horror history, and I guess just by virtue of making a film based on the Wolfman, there is a nostalgic quality to it because it goes back such a long way. But I'm trying to modernise it.
Well, an interesting take with this one as well, the different perspectives that we see in this movie. Can you explain a bit about that?
Yeah, well, that was the first idea I had when I decided to take on the job of writing this film. I co-wrote it with my wife.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what's my way in? Like, what can I say about this character that hasn't already been said? And the idea I had was to internalise the werewolf transformation a little bit and actually see the world from the person who's transforming, from their point of view. So the first thing to go is their understanding of human language. And that idea, that the fact that a loved one could be talking to you and you don't understand what they're saying anymore, that grabbed a hold of me. And I was like, this is what I'm going to build the film around, is this idea of him not being able to communicate with his family anymore. So hopefully that wasn't too much of a spoiler for anyone who wants... But it is the central idea of the film,
Yeah, it was really interesting to see.
You've definitely terrified.
You.
Oh, good.
I'm yet to see it, but I'm really, really excited.
Oh, good,
Even
good.
though I'm actually not, as the kids say, a horror girly.
Right, yeah.
I'm a little bit terrified of horror movies, but I've watched the trailer and I'm sold. I really want to go and see it. So do you see yourself sort of blending some different genres? Because you've sort of done horror fantasy now, you've done horror thriller. With Upgrade, you did, action thriller. Is that something you want to do? Or whereas Saw, I feel, was a bit more of a straight up horror.
I mean, I think so. I think I would probably get pretty bored just working in the same lane all the time. I always like to feel like I'm doing something different. Even between horror movies, you want to be in because horror is such a malleable genre. There's so many different little roads you can take, So I feel like you can... I mean, Invisible Man to me was a film about gaslighting and domestic abuse, and that was sort of the metaphor of the movie. This film's about family and disease. So even though they're both horror movies, essentially, you're dealing with such different things that I don't feel like I'm painting with the same brush all the time. But yeah, at this point, after this many horror films, I would like to do something a bit more comedic, maybe a rom-com. Just, you know what I mean? Like something that is just, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
I love that.
Different.
I think, the world is in, we're going through turbulent times, and just for my own mental health, I'm like, all right, let's just do something fun, so we'll see what happens next.
But it may not be fun, well... Some people like being scared, clearly, but putting it together must be really interesting too, because you're adding all these different layers to it, and it's, you're seeing it from a different lens and behind the scenes.
From the Saw movies, your brain is really a bit terrifying, Leigh.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right. I'm thankful for it though, because I have my dream job. I mean, I do what I love, and to me, it's the best job in the world. Directing a movie, I feel like, is a combination of all the arts. Like, take all the different artistic pursuits, photography, fashion, music, like all this different stuff, acting, writing, all these different disciplines that can be separated out. You sort of smash them all together. And I love that aspect of filmmaking. And, you know, I definitely am grateful every day that I get to do this.
When it comes to these types of films, do you see success as someone jumping in their chair, gasping, and watching it like this?
Yes. I mean, jumping in their chair, it's funny because a lot of horror movies these days, I think, lean too much on that.
Yeah.
The stings. It's
Jump scares,
yeah, the jump scare thing, I think, you know, it's a tool to be deployed at the right time. I think a lot of movies can be quite lazy and just keep cranking it out, and it has diminishing returns. I like to only deploy it if it's going to be like what I call like a face ripper, like if I'm going to do it, I want to rip people's heads off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't just be throwing it at people and overusing it. So I think the best reaction for me, I think, isn't so much the jumps. If I'm for an audience, it's that moment when they just feel dread and they're sinking down in their chair, and it's
Is that what you felt?
that
Yeah,
moment
felt
for me.
a lot of that.
Yeah, that's my favourite. We do this thing actually where we record the audience when we do test screenings. We use these cameras, night vision cameras, so we can see them. And it's amazing to watch audience reactions. I've seen everything from people getting under their chair to like pulling the hoodie and just peeking through the it's incredible to watch, and it's definitely that moment when they're shrinking. That's my favourite.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, unsettling was the word that always came to mind with everything you've done, but I mean that as a compliment, of course.
Good, you know.
Leigh, before you go, very quickly, we know home is LA for you.
Right,
now.
it has been this is my 20th year of living there.
Is everything okay? How are things with the fires?
We're you know, the particular neighbourhood I live in, Los Feliz, is not affected right now by the fires. You know, I'm hoping that continues. We do live right near the biggest park in Los Angeles, Griffith Park. But there's nowhere you can be in Los Angeles right now where you aren't directly affected. It's in the air. It's every single person I know knows somebody who lost their home. Several people I know have texted me to say my house is gone, and it's you realise in these moments, you do realise what's really important when a structure burns. It's like, okay, but is your family okay?
Yeah.
So tragedy brings clarity, but it's very difficult to be anywhere in Los Angeles right now and not be affected. You know.
Leigh, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
It's great to be. It's my old home, the ABC.
It is.
This is, I remember doing recovery back in the day and spending a lot of time here.
How good
the ABC,
is that?
my dad worked for the ABC. Like, the ABC is a big part of my family.
Oh,
We're so happy to hear that.
And thanks for scaring me.
Yes, and in advance scaring me. And I can't wait to see the Leigh Whannell comedy, romantic comedy.
The comedy, it's coming soon, I promise you.
We're all going to wait for it.
I'll be back to talk about it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
we'll see
Leigh.
you there.
Thank you very much. Thank you.